All right, so today's topic is about product maintenance and policy maintenance. So, first thing we're going to cover is going through how to update product names and then also when you should create a new product versus just editing the product in the product settings. And then, excuse me, how to use saved reports to update policies so that all the people who did plan rollovers, you can put in their new effective date if you need to. Also, it's a good time as AEP is finally over to kind of really go through and do a data validation on a lot of your policies. Like, are you missing status? Are you missing policy coverage type? All of those things can then be utilized in automated workflows like we showed yesterday. It can also be used in reporting. And the more that you get this data into the system, the more results you'll have or the more opportunities you would have for cross-selling and marketing. So these things are going to actually boost your business if you are really diligent about making sure you have the data that's required for you to do all the things you want to do. And also, more importantly, the things that you want the system to do for you. All right. So let's take a look. Can you all see this screen? Acacia, can you unmute yourself and let me know?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. So first thing we might want to do is just go through our settings. If you're an admin, you have permissions to this. If you're an agent level, you do not. So your administrator would have to do this. But in settings, we have products, commissions, and renewals. That's most likely what we're going to go in and do. If we wanted to tweak the way that we call the carriers names, you can just simply click on this little 9 here and it'll bring you into carriers, supposedly. Maybe not. But here, it should. I don't know why that's not doing it, but here we can go to carriers instead of that. And then you can say, oh, actually, instead of it being called UHC, I just want to update it to United Healthcare. So you can update it as simply as that, and then it's going to impact all of the carriers' names. So it will update it automatically on everybody's file. It will not change anything other than how you're listing it. Also, while we're here, I think it's helpful for you to review the documents that you have. So if you've got like a 2025 schedule of benefits, for example, you can upload that file. Let's just do this. And then we can say, do we want agents to have access to it in this little section over here on the left, which is carrier info, where they can quickly access it there? Do you want it to be on the lead view page, the client view page, and the email screen? So do you want this to be available as an attachment on the email screen? I'm going to say yes for all of those. And then I'm going to say this is a carrier document, and maybe it's for all products for that carrier. Or if I've already created my products, maybe it's for a specific product. But I'm going to put it for all products here. And I'm going to save that attachment by hitting attach file. You'll notice that there is a limit to the file size. So if it's a very large PDF, you might need to make it into a zip file or just somehow compress the file. You can also attach website links for carrier portals or anything like that. And again, decide where you want that to live. So this could be UHC client portal, and this is going to be and then I can have it on each of those. Carrier, all, there we go. So now if I'm in a lead or a client file, if they have UHC, so let me find who has it. So now I can see that that update has been done. So United Healthcare is the plan. Deborah has United Healthcare. So on her email screen, if I select the product, I think maybe that's a United Healthcare plan. So see, now I've got the United Healthcare 2025 schedule of benefits as an available attachment. And I have on the website links, let me see if it's in there. Nope. Guess it's in files. I would also have the United Healthcare portal down here and their schedule of benefits for review. Additionally, I have it in my agent access section, which is in the carriers portal. So quick and easy way to update your documents and your links. Now let's go into the products. So this plan that I'm on and the demo I'm showing you has the AMS plan, which has commission matrices. If you're on the basic plan, you don't have commission matrices. So just ignore all of that stuff. Or if you're interested in it, we can talk about it later. But let's look at this United Healthcare because this is just a flat fee. So if I go in and edit this, I can then say, oh, actually, this plan now pays commission of $350 and $150 on renewal. And it's split up monthly. But do you notice here, it's the annualized amount. So even though the commission's paid monthly, it's going to be $350 divided by 12 for that monthly calculation. Anybody can buy this product, or maybe only people in specific states or counties. And save. So now if I go into Deborah's file, it's not going to update any of the previous commissions that I've tracked on that plan. Let me see this one. So anything that's previous on this plan will not be overridden. However, I'm going to say her premium is $150 annually. But now do you see how it's trying to calculate that commission? And if I put in the renewal date, so let's say it renewed on the 1st of this month, this is me doing it manually, and I will show you in our next section how you can do it in bulk. But if I use the best practice of, as I'm going through each of my open enrollment appointments, you should be in their policy and either saying, oh, it's going to roll over, you update the renewal date, you save that information. And then if you go into their commissions, you can generate those renewals, and you're going to start it as of 1/1/2025. And it's going to generate based off of that rate for a net rate, a net 30 days to pay that amount of that commission. So then it's showing that I should have that 150, but 0 has been received. Okay. So that's the first part. It's just that you can simply edit the new rates and they'll apply for the new dates that it applies to. The other thing is, if you do have the commission matrices, what you can do, and we kind of covered this in the Open Enrollment Prep Academy, so that way you could do it for the effective dates. But here you can do effective date is 1/1/2025 through 12/31/2025. So you can have it so that way this year, this is the rate, whereas last year the rate was only $325 or $625 for the first year, depending. Right, so you can update that effective date range with that variable. And then next year, when you get next year's rates, you can simply add another column, manage that criteria to say effective date is, here, let me move this over. Effective date is 1/1/2026 to 12/31/2026. And then also this example is MAPD. So I'm going to add a custom product field of cell type of new to Medicare. Year one, I'm going to get, now next year's rate is going to be great for you guys. It's going to be $850 if you are new to Medicare. The next 40 years, it's going to be $750 or whatever. I can't remember what the variable is. I think it's $450. No, $550. That's not an actual rate. I don't know why I'm being so specific, but then I'm going to go over here to manage criteria, add criteria. Effective date is again 1/1/2026, 12/31/2026. Add criteria of cell type is agent of record or plan switch. So if they are that, then it's just the 550 with the 550. We can go into more depth on this as far as like what you need to do for your commissions on a client work session. But I just want to show you that this is available. This is more me just giving you this overview. Commissions are so specific that it's actually really good advice to just join a client work session, get my eyes on it. If it's working for you, no worries. But I just want, as I'm discussing like how to update these things, feel free to join a work session and Acacia and I can handhold you through this process because it is a little bit tricky and everybody's contracts are different. I mean, with some of them, they're more standardized, but still it can be convoluted. But this commission matrix we made so that way for agencies that have a lot of different variables that sell in a lot of different states, they could make it so that way it's a little bit easier for them to manage their commissions. And then whatever you do, you'll just save at the end of that. And now you have that new variable within that matrix. Any general questions about updating the commissions on a product level? We're still pretty small, so feel free to unmute yourself if you would like to, but okay.
Hi, Danielle. Chris Bessinen
Hello.
again. How are you?
Great.
So in the commission matrix,
Mhm.
you have to like add each product individually that goes in there. Is there a way to add them bulk?
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to build the commission. This is actually really nice. So let's say that this was overrides for BCBS or even other things. You can actually do multiple carriers like this. So like, it's just that they're in this commission structure. So that way, because with MAPD, for example, you're pretty much getting a state standard, right? Or even multiple states. Like, so everything except for Texas and California is going to get this rate. So you could literally put in all of your other states' MAPD products in this product row here. So it doesn't matter if it's Chubb, if it's United Healthcare, if it's Aetna, it doesn't matter what it is, you can populate all of those in.
But I have to add them in each one by one, though. I
Yeah.
can't just put all Medicare Advantage plans, you know, like plan type, Medicare Advantage.
No,
All carriers. Yeah,
unfortunately.
no.
Yeah. So what you could do, that's a very good point, and I do like that thought process. What you can do is we go back to the products. If you're importing products, you could literally label them initially when you're importing the whole list at once. And you could say like MAPD, MAPD, so that way it's easy for you to grab them. And then you could just remove that. But I guess that still makes you do manual work. So ignore me. Like you can import the list of the carrier product names in this way. You have to have the carrier column. And so it would say like UHC, UHC, UHC. And then on the right, it would say Plan G plus, la, 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 la. So in the product column, so it says UHC Plan G plus, UHC Plan G, UHC Plan N. So you can import that list to make it a little easier to bring in. But yes, you do in that matrix need to add each one. But hopefully you're only doing it once a year. So
Right. Thanks.
Sure thing. Sorry about that. Okay, so there we have that. Any other questions on updating the commission aspects? All right, let's move forward. So now what we want to do, excuse me, is create a saved report to update and do validation on our product list. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a saved report for policy validation 2025. You can make this private so that way only you see it, or you can also have it for admins only or for all users. So if you want each of your agents to go through this and see like, oh, you're missing a lot of policy statuses, you can then add all users to that. But for this part, when it's like validation of data, for the most part, the first pass at it, I'm probably going to keep it private so I can see what I can update as an admin. And then once you refine it a little bit, then you can give greater visibility to your agents. And they would only see the clients and leads assigned to them that they have the permissions to see. Okay, so then I'm going to do this for client policies. I'm not going to do it for clients and client policies because that would then duplicate some data. So only for client policies. Since this is about a validation report, you might also want to see if lead policies generates anything, because sometimes people forget to convert their policies. So we'll do that. Then what I'm going to do is make it for all of them. You can do it by carrier. That sometimes can help if you've got another document to cross-reference against. So you could do for the carrier of Aetna, for example. But in this case, what I'm going to do is just do it for all of my policies. And then on the second page, I did that a little fast, but at the bottom, there's the next. So the first page is selecting the data that we want to filter by. This page is about how we want to view the data. So here we've got these groups up here. So you could group it by carrier, you could group it by coverage type, all of those things. So that way you can generate a pie or a bar chart to see how many policies you have with the carrier of UHC versus BCBS. Group 2 could be the policy coverage type. For example, you don't need anything in those groups, but anything that you do select in this group has to be down here in this report column, because that's going to be how we actually view the fields. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to be diligent and put in that carrier name now and that policy coverage type. You can see I am typing into this. If I click on this, I'm going to just look for what I'm looking for. So I'm going to look for the policy number. I'm going to look for whatever else. So those are the only two groups that I want. Maybe I also want to have it sorted by assigned agent or carrier, whichever one you want. So let me do it by assigned agent. Some people will do this by last name, first name. So sort order is going to be last name first. Then we can do number of records, commissions, renewals, or premiums. I'm going to do number of records so that I can tally how many people have a United Healthcare plan versus a Aetna plan, right? So it's going to tally the number of records against the carrier name, tally the number of records against the policy coverage type. Once I actually generate this report, it'll make a little bit more sense. Okay, so now I'm going to say, what report columns do I want to have returned? So if I want to view by last name, first name, I'll delete name, and I'm going to add in last name, first name. Because I'm probably going to do some policy updates on this, the most important field to add is product record ID. I guess it's called record product ID. So I'm going to add that in. This is the way the system can then match against the Radius record product ID from your file to do any updates that you want. So then I'm going to also add in the product name I don't need this carrier product status. I'm going to do policy status. I've got policy coverage type already. Let me see. I'm going to organize this for myself before. So I can order all of this. So last name is going to be first name, then status, city, state, zip. Let's see if I need address. Maybe that's also helpful for me. Address, carrier name, policy coverage type. I'm going to do that. Or maybe because this is a policy report, I'll do the policy stuff first. Product, carrier name. So I'm just getting this organized the way that's going to be the most helpful for me. Policy status. Let's put in effective date and renewal date. So renewal date is really what we're going to be looking for. So effective date with year, renewal date with year. Because most of a lot of people will forget to update that renewal date. And that's what we're going to probably update in this report. And anything else that you want. So like, are they new to Medicare? So the cell type, etc. So add in as much detail as you need for this, but hopefully you can see this is kind of easy to grab the fields that you need. You simply click on this select fields to add, you type the field name that you want. The one that you definitely need in this case is record product ID. And then I'm going to hit submit. Oops, sort order value is not used in our table. I forgot to add in the assigned agent. So down here, I'm going to put in assigned agent. Also, I think county might be helpful. I'm going to add that at the end. All right. Record product ID, I can put at the end as well. Okay, so now I'm going to submit. It's going to say, what do you want to do? You've got a lot of choices. We could run the report to just do a quick little overview, but if you've got more than 500 policies, it's going to cut off. So we're going to need to download the file. But let's view a pie chart or a bar chart so you can see what those options look like. Because remember when I said you could have the group count sort order, or what was that called? Group 1, group 2, group 3. So this is the grouping. So here I see that we've got 11 CT MedAdvantage plans. And then we've got 1 CT Care Life plan, 1 ACA plan with CT Care. So it's grouping all of those things, and then United Healthcare, etc. So it's giving me the tally of the number, the total number of policies that I have, but also it's giving me the specifics of what the carrier count is. We can also see this in a bar chart. And if you hover over it, it'll give you the count at the bottom. So we've got 1 American General auto insurance policy, 1 American General, or 2 American General life policies, etc. But for the validation, you're probably going to want to see way more than that. So I'm going to download the CSV file. We can also email it to ourselves if it's a very big file. If you choose download all data, that's going to download everything that's related to that policy. So it would be like all of the policy and client fields. So it might be more of a report than you actually need. You can email that to yourself as well. Here you can schedule the report. This is something that was new, I guess it's been over a year, but I just want to flag that to you that you can say, I want to see this report in my email every Monday or every Saturday. This is really helpful for doing like sales reports. We also can generate mailing labels. We can download all files like MP3s of the call recordings or file attachments that are related to this report. We can edit the report settings. We can copy it if you just want to make a tweak. So maybe you do this policy validation for a specific carrier. So let's say you've got an Aetna one, and then you want to copy that Aetna one and change it to the carrier of UHC. You can quickly do so. And then you could delete the report. But let us download this file. To open this, and then I will share that part of my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay. So here we've got those tallies. So see where it says totals for American General Auto. So I probably need to remove those for actually like working on this validation. So let me sort by this column. Organize, sort, type, just so I can remove those totals. Because now what I want to do is, because I want to look for if I'm missing any of those renewal dates, I'm going to sort instead by renewal date with year. So here I'm only missing one renewal date. So, and this was for a lead product, which is also helpful for me to know, because if this policy is active, this person should be converted to a client, so they're getting the right workflows. If I want to update any other data, like maybe I'm changing them to a different plan or whatever it is, I will also look through that info. But in this case, all of these people, it looks great. I don't need to update anything else on them. So I can delete all of the people that from this file, I should say, that I don't need to update. And now I'm going to add in that renewal date with year here. With renewal dates, if I had multiple, let me add a row below. Oh, that's wanted. Okay, so if I were to just drag this down, see how it goes 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. So you do have to copy it and then just like paste it like so, just FYI. So usually if I was saying like all of these policies are active, I can just drag it. But if it's with a number, it's always gonna like do that weird 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, etc. Hopefully what I just said made any sense to you guys. The other things that I can look for is their policy coverage type missing? Is their effective date missing? Is their renewal date correct? Is their carrier name or product name missing? Policy number, cell type, agent assignment. All of these things are really helpful. This person's county is missing. So like adding in that detail can be really helpful. So then I would say delete any fields that you don't need, except for the record product ID, which you absolutely need. I'm going to delete these because I don't need them. Maybe the assigned agent needs to get updated, so I would update that. But in this case, I'm just deleting everything just so it's easier for me to import this. And then I can delete everything in this except for that renewal date with year and the record product ID. So this is going to be what I import back into the system. I'm gonna save this as, actually, I need to save it as a CSV file. So export to CSV file. Now, if I go back here, I'm going to go to leads or clients. Actually, I'm going to go to leads because that was a lead file. I'm going to import leads. Then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to look for update existing lead policies. That's what we need to click in this. And then it gives you the instructions for importing lead policies, which is slightly different than importing leads or importing clients. And it does tell you the ID column is required, etc. So browse for that file that I just created, example. So here we've got renewal date with year. So we're going to find renewal date is there. And then the record product ID is called record ID. I don't know why it maps like that, but we're going to look for renewal date with year is renewal date and record product ID is record ID. So this is called mapping if you haven't done this before. It's going to try to find your field names, but if it doesn't, this is how you would map them. And we're going to hit import. Now it will email you with the success of it. And then if any were not imported because they don't match the record ID or something, it will give you a list of all of those people that didn't match the record ID matching. But then in this guy, I know now that I need to update him and I'm going to convert him to a client. So that's something that you would need to do as well, is make sure that all of your leads that have lead policies that are active get converted into clients. Now, if I go to this policy, my renewal date here is 1/1/2026. That was done via the update. And if I go into the commission, I can generate the renewals if I wanted to right now. I wouldn't do that at this point. I would generate them once they decide to roll over this plan. But that's how you would do it, is you would generate those renewal payments when they confirm that they're going to roll over that plan and then hit OK. And the reason why you want to update their renewal date is so that way if you have any automated workflows that are based off of their renewal date. So let's say their renewal date is kind of mid-year on a policy. So it's like June 1st. You want to have an automated workflow go out to them that says, your auto policy is up for renewal on June 1st. It will roll over automatically. But if you would like to set a meeting with me to discuss other options, here's my calendar, right? There are going to be things that you will want to message on that renewal, and then other things where you're like, nope, I don't want to have an auto policy renewal, for example. I'm just going to let it roll over. Chris, you have a question?
So like I've got like a lot of life and disability policies that I don't, I'm not switching plans every year like the health insurance stuff. Should I update the renewal dates on those every year too?
If you want to generate the commissions for that year, then yes. So like, let's say
Okay.
so in that case, you might not want to do the year ahead. You might want to make sure that like on those life policies that they renewed on 1/1/2025, just so you can generate those commissions. Does that differentiation make sense?
Yeah, so that's really mainly for the commission calculations and maybe that number I see, potential renewals.
Yes, exactly. Potential renewals, but also so that way it can like generate what the expected renewal payments are versus the received.
Yeah, I've got I pulled that report and I sorted by renewal date oldest. So I've got like some from 2011 still in
Yeah. So
renewal.
this is a great opportunity. That's exactly why you would want to run this kind of a data validation report to be like, oh, I want to at the very least update all of my policies to a renewal date of 1/1/2025 so I can generate the expected commissions for this year specifically. And then you can go back and say, like, for all of my ACA and Medicare policies, now I'm going to actually update their renewal date to 1/1/2026 or whatever it is. So that way I can match against their renewal date. For plans that are just on like the first of the year that also have the open enrollment period, it's not as big of a deal. You could just do 1/1/2025 to generate this year's renewal amounts. But for policies where their renewal is like mid-year or whatever, those are important. So if you're not going to be messaging to them during open enrollment, you definitely want to track that 1/1/2026 or 5/1/2026 or whatever it is. So that way they get those renewal notices.
And then the generate commissions that you do in the policy, do you have to do that one by one?
Yes, unfortunately, we've been looking at a way to do this in bulk, but it is rather tricky. And part of that is simply for the fact of if we start generating expected payments without really doing the data validation in advance, it could really make you look like you're expecting a lot of money when you're not, because you have plans that have been canceled or whatever. So we've been trying to think this through for a bit now, but so currently it's just one-to-one.
Okay.
Generate. And also, if you're tracking things in the commission module and importing those carrier statements, let me just show you how you would do this in case people have not done this before. You can see my screen, correct, where I'm on the commission module?
Yep.
Okay, good. Wait, use this. Oh. Okay. So as I import this through, I start this. So it would give me those expected payments if I had those projections, but otherwise it doesn't really matter because it's like I was expecting to get this paid, but so see how this is expected on 1/1/2024. I could then just go in there and update that policy so that way I know what that amount is, right? So it doesn't really matter if you have that in there. It's really just for the projections, but you can still import the actual received. Excuse me. Also, just since, some of you haven't been on a session in a while, we also now have a way for you to add in an existing client's new policy information. So you can do that directly from the carrier statement. So I would just grab this number, add that policy number in to this, and then you can set the product, the effective date, and the renewal date, and create that policy. Or you could even create a new client directly from your commission statement importer. So if you haven't brought everybody over, this is a way for you to do that. So just FYI. Usually if you have like a massive file, I would still do the client import structure, but for like, one-offs where you're like, oh, that person isn't in my system yet. Now you have a way to create them directly from the commission statement import. Any questions on this? Right, group today. Okay, so just to recap, you would go to settings to update your carrier documents, and any other information you want to update. Then you would go to the products tab to update any of the fees that you would be getting. Then you would build a saved report in reports for policy validation. You would download that report. Let me actually just build that report with you one more time, or show you the settings at least. So for client and lead policies only, and this one is all, but you could do it per carrier. And then on the next page, the thing you definitely need is the record product ID. However, I would also recommend a lot of the policy data. So policy coverage type, policy status, effective date with year, renewal date with year, carrier, product, policy number, and anything else that you need. Then you're going to download that report. You're going to tweak it. So that way, if there's any years that you need to update or any status dispositions that you need to add, those get into that file. And then once you've finished that file, you go to clients, and then you go to import clients. You scroll down and you stop right at update existing client policies. You will then view the policy names. You will browse for that file, and you will map against the file where it says client ID, maybe that's policy number, client name is name, etc. Right? So we're going to find all of that and then pull that into the system to do the update. Any questions on this at all? Okay. The other thing that I'll just call your attention to in the reporting, once you've done all of this update, what you can do is also go to reports. And once you've got all those policy coverage types, you could run a coverage type report. So that way you can see all of the policies that have the coverage type of supplement and see if you can try to figure out better plans for them. Or I guess the better option would be if like you wanted to see all of your life clients, who then you can check in on them and see, well, do they also have health or Medicare through me? So I can display that report and then click into their file and then start working those life leads. So you can use these reports to really quickly find, you know, a way to upsell your clients. And that might be better done actually as a saved report that shows you the clients who have the policy type of life. So here, let me do it in custom reports really fast. I like the saved reports better because then I'm only returning the values of what I actually want to see. But if I display the report this way, it will show me all of their plans that they have. So if there were multiple plans for this person, it would show me all of them. But notice here, I don't have all of the field names that I like. So that's why I prefer to do it in the saved reports. Plus, you can also push saved reports to your dashboard, which I find to be helpful. So especially like a daily, you know, sales validation report or like a sales this week report, I find to be very helpful to just display on the dashboard for motivation.
Danielle?
Yeah.
I know you covered on the reports. For example, if I said I want to look at all of my Blue Cross Blue Shield Medicare clients.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you've got categories, Medicare Advantage, Medicare Sup. Is that also back in reports?
Yes. So if we go to, I would do that as a saved report again, simply because then it's easy to copy it and tweak it rather than having to rebuild it each time. So what I would do is I would name it the carrier name, BCBS, you said Medicare policies. And then this would be for client policies where the policy coverage type, unfortunately, we don't have a multi-select on this and maybe we should. I'll take that back and see if we could get that done.
So Danielle, you called it Medicare policies. Do we want to call it Medicare supplement policies, or do we categorize it down there
So
on
this
the coverage type?
Yeah. So if it was on the client, I actually would have the client primary coverage type as Medicare. That's what I prefer. So it's easy to find those people super fast.
Okay.
So that would just be a general, they're in their primary policy coverage type is Medicare, but their policy specific coverage type is supplement and PDP or
Got
what it is, right?
Under policy coverage type right underneath.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you do have it done this way, where you've got your client's primary coverage type as Medicare, you could pull this report and it would show all of the people and all of the policies that they have. So if I go to next, I can find all of those other values of carrier product status. I can find all of that there. And then I'm going to run that report, BCBS, run that report. And now I've got Sam Sample has all of these plans. I've got a lot of weird things in there, but I don't think that I selected BCBS as the carrier because I didn't really have anybody in there, which is why it's showing these other ones.
I know I asked this before, but when you run those reports, for example, if I said I want to do a mailing to my MedSup clients, because it might be a different mailing.
Yes.
Does it have the capability of printing an Excel form or a CBC, something like that, if I'm going to actually do a mail versus an email?
Yeah. So what you could do is where it says, what do you want to do? You can generate mailing labels. Even if you don't have the address in here, it's fine. Like it'll generate the address from that. So see how it just pulled that in,
Okay.
right? But then also, what do you want to do? Download CSV files. So that way you can push it to a mail merge document if you wanted to.
Okay.
But generate mailing labels is just there for you as a courtesy.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's there for you. And then the other thing is, if I had put this as like, carrier equals BCBS, I could copy this report and then just tweak it. So that way this one is going to be Aetna Medicare policies. And then I would select the carrier of Aetna instead of BCBS. So that way all of the data fields in the second page can be the same, but the carrier is just tweaked. Does that make sense?
Yes. When you put it in saved reports, it saves the file for the date you generated it. So,
No.
right? Or does it continually update itself?
Correct, because you're running the report. Anytime you have a saved report, when it says, what do you want to do? You're going to run it and then it'll be that day's data.
Got it.
Yeah,
Right.
and downloading it, it'll be that day's data. So basically, when you build that report, you're just saying, I want to know about all of the things that are related to this on that first page. And then on the second page, you're saying, I want to see the results of these field names. And then anytime you run that report, it will be for that day. The exception, or for that moment, I should say. The exception is if you have it on the dashboard, it will only generate once per day. So unless you update it. So see where it says daily validation report. And then below that, it says generated at this time. So if I wanted to refresh that, I could do so like that. The reason why is that it only does it on the first login to the dashboard page is because it can be a very large report. And we didn't want it to be continually running in the background. If you have like 5,000 clients, that could junk up your dashboard, which would junk up your memory if it's constantly trying to pull that report. But it can be very helpful to check in on a regular basis, because you can see here, if you're on the AMS plan, you can quickly call that whole list with your dial queue. Or you could be in there and be like, oh, they didn't put the right status in there. That should have been set to active, or whatever it is. You can then quickly update it with that report on the dashboard.
Danielle, do you have a video on reports?
Yes, we do. And there's one specifically on, let me go here to the help app. There's one specifically on policy updates with saved reports, and also about customizing your dashboard. So customize your dashboard with saved reports, using saved reports to update policies, and then just general report features.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So I do need, oh wait, no, we've got a few minutes still. Any other questions? Okay. So tomorrow's topic is, what is it? Let me look. It is tracking sales and appointment success with reporting. So we kind of touched on this today, but tomorrow we'll go in more depth on those sales reports, which hopefully will help motivate your team if you've got a team, or motivate you if you're independent. But also it's going to do more of that data validation. We're also going to go into appointment success and how to look at appointment outcomes. So that way it can also keep the ball rolling as far as making sure that things are more automated in the processes for you throughout this year. So we're going to do that tomorrow. And then additionally, I just wanted to flag, you should today have an email from us about the Block Builder event that's happening in April in Phoenix. So if you can come to that, that would be great. Agency Block, which is our company, Radius was bought back in 2022 by Agency Block. They have an annual conference. I spoke at it last year and it was great. It's basically a way for us to connect with other industry resources, industry leaders, talk about the future of products, talk about how to utilize products, get some time with me in person. So there's a whole slew of things that we can do together at Block Builder. I might do something where we have like an event virtually at Block Builder as well for the Radius customers. So yeah, let's keep talking about that. If you have any questions on that, you can reply to the email or just chat with me. But there are details in your inbox today on Block Builder, and it's in Phoenix. So it should be a very nice event this year. All right. Any questions before we go? I hope to get the recordings up. Excuse me. Still getting over bronchitis and it's driving me mad. So yes, well, I should have the recordings up very soon. I've got a client work session after this, but next up in my list of things to do is getting these recordings up. So have a beautiful day. Hopefully I see you tomorrow. And if you've built any of the saved reports by tomorrow, we should have time at the end to review them for you. So that way I can make any other suggestions about, fields you might need, or if you have any goals for reporting, I can also talk about them. But it's always great to join a work session for that purpose as well, because that's when we really do go into depth on like, okay, what's your goal, Robin? Or what's your goal, Daryl? And then I can step-by-step you through each of those goals, or Acacia can as well. So we basically will take you through step-by-step how to implement that strategy within the CRM. Have a beautiful day and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Hi, Danielle.